U.S. President-elect Joe Biden is set to launch his coronavirus task force as he moves ahead with the transition to power. Mr. Biden will meet top scientists to decide how to best tame the pandemic that's escalating at a record rate in the U.S. There have been more than 100,000 new infections every day for 5 days in a row. And on Saturday, the day the election was called for Mr. Biden, the U.S. saw the highest daily infection total to date, nearly 127,000 new cases. So that brings the nation's total to nearly 10 million, 1/5 of all cases worldwide. Donald Trump, on the other hand, still has not conceded. He has not spoken in public since Thursday, although he has tweeted extensively about how the election has been stolen. Mr. Trump's lawyer says he plans to file a string of lawsuits this week. Well, Simon Marks is live from Washington, D.C. And Simon, tell us more about the potential makeup of this COVID-19 task force. Do you have names?
Well, this is certainly going to be a very interesting day for Joe Biden's transition because, as you know, throughout the campaign, he put an enormous focus on battling COVID-19 and controlling the pandemic as job number one for his administration. So, according to media reports here, he is considering putting the former Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, at the top of the COVID-19 task force that he's going to assemble. It will also include, says CNN, former U.S. Food and Drug Administration Commissioner Dr. David Kessler, a very well-known figure here in Washington, D.C., who has been critical of the Trump administration's response to the pandemic, and also Dr. Marcella Nunez-Smith of Yale University. So a diverse group of scientists that the president-elect appears to be turning to. We're not quite clear what kind of role Dr. Anthony Fauci will be playing in this task force. President-elect Biden has said on numerous occasions that Dr. Fauci would be the first person he called if he became President of the United States. So let's see what is said about that. But the other bit of news that has broken here just within the course of the last few minutes is that Pfizer, the pharmaceutical company, says that it has now data that suggests its coronavirus vaccine candidate is 90% effective in controlling the virus, better than they expected, and that's a major development just over the last few minutes, to which the president-elect will be able to respond as he puts together this COVID-19 task force, but also to which President Trump, one must assume, is potentially going to respond. The Vice President, Mike Pence, due to be chairing a meeting of the Trump administration's COVID-19 task force today, and this news from Pfizer coincidental, as far as I understand it, to that, but certainly major news from Pfizer that is breathing optimism into the idea that a vaccine may soon be available and may be more effective than was initially hoped.
It does come a bit too late, perhaps, for President Donald Trump, Simon. No public events scheduled for him. What's the reaction been to his sort of low-key sort of position lately?
Well, I think here in Washington, one can say that the reaction has been one of absolute amazement, that President Trump has still not gone through the time-honoured practice of conceding defeat, phoning Joe Biden, congratulating him on victory, and urging his supporters to get behind the new president, reflective of the fact that the president is president of the whole country, not just of one particular political side. But Donald Trump, while he's been silent, has been very active on Twitter, retweeting a series of broadcasts from the Fox News channel, opinion broadcasts, that reflect his view that he won the election and it is being stolen from him. He's threatening action in the courts over the next few hours in a bid to overturn the result of this election. There is still no indication that he's got the kind of evidence that he would need to have to point to widespread voter fraud that has basically stripped him illegally of the opportunity to serve 4 more years in the Oval Office. But let's see if he has any more luck in the courts over the next 48 hours than he had in the final hours of last week. He lost 10 separate lawsuits 10 separate attempts to try and slow the path to what appears still to be the inevitable, that Joe Biden is the president-elect and will be taking over on January the 20th. And with every hour that passes, the more Donald Trump digs his heels in, the more his supporters believe that this election has been stolen from him, and the greater the threat that Joe Biden will be seen by as many as 71 million Americans who voted for Donald Trump as an illegitimate president in the White House.
Many thanks for getting us up to speed from the Washington side of things. Simon Marks there from the US Capitol.